talking to pilots in the military, they say it's the right aircraft. Why is it taking that long? We're trying to work with our aerospace industry in Canada so that they can be suppliers of many of the components, so that when this aircraft is in service, we have those components available and being built in Canada. Thank you.
Thank you. To our next question.
Hello, my name is Jared, and I would like to ask your MP opinion. Hello. I'd like to ask your opinion on Bill C-51. More specifically, I guess points of talking would be restricting peaceful protests and people coming together in public large groups. And I would also like to inquire into your personal MP opinion on government surveillance and things like that.
Question regarding Bill C-51, and we'll start with Mr. Lystang to start.
As you can well imagine, the Libertarian Party, being a party of freedom, is very against public surveillance of its citizens. We are very against people, the government peeking into our bedrooms, into our lives, or anything else for that matter. We believe that as citizens, we deserve the right to be able to make our own choices and mistakes. And if we cross the line into being criminals, we have all kinds of laws to deal with those. We are totally against Bill C-51, and we are totally against most of the things in it. Thank you.
This might be one of the few times where I actually agree with my Libertarian colleague here. The NDP would kill Bill C-51. There's no need for this mass surveillance, mass gathering of data. Just last night, there was a CEO of a tech company that's putting $1 million into a legal fight to have this bill thrown out. It's not good. It doesn't make anybody safer. What it does is eliminates oversight. It expands powers that the police aren't even asking for. So I think it's, as soon as the NDP get in there, we kill it.
Pass the microphone down to Ms. Wolf Lange, please.
The Green Party would abolish Bill C-51 because we have seen with these partnership agreements that are going on around the globe, and we have seen climate march, people trying to manifest, but Canadian people are so afraid to gather and just to gather and manifest against something that maybe the government or maybe the police is gonna take us to prison. And we have seen just last week in Berlin a huge conglomerate of people opposing a treaty that is even much more open than TPP, where is manifestations against TPP here in Canada? So we can see that people are afraid. This is not good. This is not democracy. We need our freedom to gather and to manifest our freedom.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's Peter's bell, isn't it? That's Peter's bell.
I'm very much in favor of the bill, probably because of my past role as a police officer. This bill is basically 5 points to it. It allows federal departments to share information. It allows the threat of transportation security. We can stop anybody who's trying to travel outside of the country to commit terrorist activities. It gives us a greater period of detention so that when we're doing an investigation, police departments can hold a person. And it says that the authorization of a federal court, anytime any action is taken, it must be done and supervised by the federal court, and then reviewed by the Security Review Committee. It also gives us the ability to share information with our neighboring countries and countries that we're working on with equal terrorist threats. There was nothing against local activity. This same fear was there, folks, when we got permission to wiretap for drug cases. Everybody thought we'd be wiretapping. Well, it doesn't happen because it's supervised by a Superior Court judge.
Thank you. And to our next question. Peter. Oh, I'm sorry.
Thanks, Peter.
And Ms. Maguhn next.
Thanks a lot. Bill C-51. The real trick in today's day and age is balancing security and freedom without compromising either, and that is a really tricky road to try and take care of. What C-51 does do, and Jim's absolutely right, is that it provides security provisions where necessary to allow law enforcement agencies and intelligence agencies to share capabilities to protect our security and guarantee the security of the nation. However, where we differ is the fact that there is not enough sunset clauses involved and third-party independent oversight free of that system to ensure and provide comfort for Canadian citizens that the freedoms we should be guaranteed will remain in place. We absolutely have to ensure that we are not compromising our freedoms for the sake of security, and we will do that. Thank you.
Now the question's complete. Okay, thank you. To our next question, if the microphone is ready. Yep, sounds good.
Hello, my name is Martin Sellerbowl and I live here in Edson. Thank you, candidates. As a country that has depended on the our natural resources and their extraction and sale, and given the wide-ranging threats and challenges posed to Canadians from climate change, I guess to name one challenge, we really rely on our government to know the science and the environmental impacts of our actions. And what do you, the candidates in your platforms, propose the role of nonpartisan government science should be, and how would you ensure there is no political interference with the scientists' findings? Thank you.
Thank you. We'll start with Mr. Kuzminski.
First of all, I think we have to take the muzzle off the Canadian scientists so they can speak freely and openly about the science and relate that to Canadians. We have a lot of great scientists in this country that are very knowledgeable and have done a lot of good hard work, and they should be able to relate that to their colleagues in Canada and around the world and to the Canadian citizens. I've worked with the National Research Council back when I was living in Saskatchewan and working for the Saskatchewan Wheat Pool. We developed new types of fish feed, but it was us as industry were working along with the National Research Council. We weren't directing the National Research Council. Scientists, whether they're talking about wolves, caribou, or any other issue, they should be able to speak openly and freely. Thanks.
We'll get the microphone to come all the way down to this end, please.
Science should be independent from politics. Science builds upon science, and through peer review, that's what we call, that is within the scientific communities. Scientists need to be free to publish their work so that these peer reviews can happen and discuss their findings openly without fear and in all confidence. And we need science to advance any technologies that we might want to enjoy. Thank you.
I believe our scientists should be allowed to speak out. We have one problem though. We have an act called Fraser versus the Public Service of Canada, which the Supreme Court made a ruling in 1985 that anybody working for any company or organization must remain loyal to that organization or company and cannot speak out against it, or they can be terminated. Now I think that needs to be repealed and challenged because it restricts our people, and too many agencies, whether it's government or private, are using that to stem the information from getting out to the public.
Imagine you go to buy a house and you get a home inspection done. You pay somebody to do the home inspection, but you pay them with the expectation that they tell you what you want to hear, not what you need to hear. That's what we have right now with government scientists. I have a letter right here from over 100 former Parks Canada scientists who've testified to the fact that they feel threatened and really a force of, a negative atmosphere in their workplace, that if they don't buck the party line, they'll lose their jobs. They will lose the security that take care of their families. Over 100, and we're not talking low-level folks, we're talking high-level managers. That's not appropriate. When we employ somebody to do work for us, we need to get the information to make good decisions. We don't need the information that we want to hear. We need the information that we have to hear so that we can make good choices for all Canadians. Thanks.
Oh, Mr. Lystang, yeah, thank you.
This happens anytime you put the government in control of something. When you put the government in control of something as important as science, they are bound to say what the government wants them to say. When you have legislation and acts that makes them accountable to the fact that if they speak out against the government or another organization, that creates a problem. The Libertarian Party would like to see science and government separate. That way we get to see real results, not what a government agency is paying for. Bureaucrats waste money. Private sector doesn't. If it doesn't produce, it will end. That's all there is to it. If they can't compete with the market, they will be removed. So the private service will have to do what it's supposed to do. There's nothing to do. It's a free market way. Thank you.
Thank you. To our next question, please.
Good evening. Once again, thank you all for coming out. My name is Guy Becker. I'm from right here in Edson. This question is, of course, open to all the candidates, but primarily addressed to Mr. Maguhn. Recently, throughout the entire election, the economy has been a central theme. Now, Mr. Trudeau's platform has primarily been based upon stimulating the middle class economically and asking those who are more wealthy to pay more taxes. Now, no political party yet has actually defined what the middle class is. And in Canada, I think it's really important to define what income bracket actually addresses this issue. So primarily for yourself, I would just asking you if you could define what the middle class is. Thank you.
For sure. I think for your question, really there's two answers. The first, I think the realistic one is the fact that, and I was reading this in Maclean's magazine when we were talking about exactly that issue. The middle class really are those folks who are looking to pay the bills, take care of their mortgage, put food on the table, take care of their responsibilities, and hopefully have a little bit something left over after they get paid to spend on their entertainment, their quality of life. Now I think that's a real world working issue. If we take care of our responsibilities and we have a little something left afterwards, that's really what the middle class is about. Now, in reality, in terms of the tax bracket, and I'm sure you've seen it online, you check it out instead of getting into the numbers here, liberal.ca, but you've seen the changes to the tax bracket. We're looking to lower taxes for 90% of Canadians at the expense of increasing the top 1% by approximately 3%. I mean, that's the reality in terms of numbers of what we're looking at. But again, it's about trying to improve the life and stimulate the economy for those people that are working in it. And I think given these hard times when we see businesses...
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll go to Mr. Lystang next.
I don't see any reason why we should be picking and choosing which class gets to save money. The top percent of the people making our money are the people that are creating our jobs, our middle to our small to large business or to medium-sized businesses. That's 90% of the jobs in Canada. 100,000 new jobs a year are created by large and medium-sized and small businesses. Why are we in Canada, do we think that it is against a lot of profit? Profit is what you get for doing hard work. These are the people that are paying for our wages. These are the people that are keeping us going. Our 15% tax plan, and we've been reducing corporate tax, will help absolutely everyone make more money. And that will filter through the whole system, not just a few. Not 90%, 100%. Thank you.
I believe we should have programs that help out as many Canadians as possible. Whether you're in the middle class, I think that you define that for yourself. There's so many, whether they're seniors or single parents, that don't feel like they're in the middle class. They're just struggling to get by. They're struggling to pay for, whether it's a daycare program, where daycare sometimes costs more than rent. Whether you're a senior, you're trying to pay for your prescription drugs, and those keep going up. And you know, with the TPP agreement, it sounds like they're going to go up even more. We have to put programs in that help all of Canadians. Thanks.
Bring the microphone down to this end of the table, please. Thank you.
Well, what is the middle class varies even by municipality. Middle class, I would say, it is a group of people that can afford housing, food, medicine, education, and culture. If you are allowed to have all these things, then you are middle class. The Green Party, to help people to afford this level of quality of life, we have a plan to eliminate income tax for workers that earn less than $2,000 dollars annually, and also we have created, or we will implement, a guaranteed living income, and this should get all Canadians into middle class.
Thank you.
Well, our Conservative government believes in low taxes, tax fairness, and leaving more money where it belongs, in the pockets of hardworking Canadian families, and to businesses that create jobs. That's where the money must stay. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question, please.